Why is this ice cream truck not open, more importantly? We should go fucking take that van and just drive it right out.
And so what you must do is you must set yourself free. You're essentially doing whatever you feel like. You're dancing. What up, Casanova? In this video, I want to talk about why logic is killing your game. Why linear thinking is generally messing you up. It's not allowing you to tap into a certain kind of flow. It's inhibiting your ability to speak with conviction, and it's just generally making you less attractive. What I will be doing is building a case for why you should do what feels right as opposed to what makes sense at any given moment of the interaction. Let's step back for a second and paint a general picture as to why this is happening, why this needs to be addressed in the first place. Guys generally think in a more logical sense, in a way that requires structure, order, processes, very procedural kind of thinking. This linear fashion thinking applies to more procedurally oriented tasks like coding a program or building a bridge, but it doesn't work in the same way when it comes to the mating dance, because guess what? It's a dance. Now, the way that a dance works is that you have, certain rules, certain guidelines that you need to operate within, but otherwise you're free to essentially express yourself in any which way you please. Right? So you know the steps, you know that there's a certain kind of rhythm that you need to follow, but otherwise you're essentially doing whatever you feel like. You're dancing. When you're out socializing, meeting and attracting women, there are certain guidelines and principles that you need to follow, certain things you should and shouldn't do, should and shouldn't say, but at any given moment within the interaction, you have the freedom to essentially do as you please. See, the problem is that guys often overthink the consequences of their actions when interacting with women. They overanalyze how things are going to be interpreted, how things are going to play out, shape up, and in so doing, they get stuck in their head. They obsess over what is the right thing to do, what is the right thing to say next in this linear thinking fashion, because they are afraid of dealing with the consequences of stepping out of line. They're afraid of venturing into the unknown. And a big reason for this is, well, there's a couple. One is this whole notion of rejection and fucking up. And now, I have some separate videos on where I share my perspective on how to deal with rejection, how to interpret rejection, how to deal with fucking up and what that looks like, and how it's actually an inevitable part of becoming good in this area of your life, at becoming successful with women and in social interactions, and how sometimes it's just an integral part of life where sometimes things are not going to go the way you want them to. Sometimes it's because of lack of skill or preparation on your end, and sometimes it's because of circumstances that are outside of your control. Which leads me to my second point, is that guys like the idea of having control over situations. This is why a lot of these old school pickup techniques and routines had so much appeal with guys, because they offered this A to B structure. A, you meet the girl, B, she spreads her legs for you and you have sex with her. As long as you just follow all these steps, you'll get there. But not only do things not always go as planned, but in the process, you come off as a robot or a sociopath when you're behaving in this way and trying to stick to some kind of a script. When you're out meeting women, a lot is really not in your control. You don't know who this particular girl that you're meeting is deep down. You don't know what headspace she's in. You don't know what her plan is for the night, who her friends are, what the dynamic is between her and her friends. Is her ex gonna randomly show up in the middle of the night? You don't know what her logistical situation is like. You don't know how the course of the night itself is going to play out. And so this idea of control is actually very ridiculous and very detrimental to your progress and your well-being, because you ultimately don't have control to begin with.
Look Look at us, just a bunch of cool kids hanging at a club. Excuse me, no more bullying. Wait, guys, how many of you are here tonight?
Coming in with a hot dozen.
6 of you?
Coming in with a real hot dozen of us. You know what a dozen is?
You guys should come after party.
How much is the dozen?
How much is a dozen?
How much is the dozen?
10?
It's cheaper by the dozen. I say less.
Dozen's 12? No. Mo, dozen is how many?
I do say less. Sorry.
How many is dozen?
A dozen's 10 euros. I say less.
Hey, I didn't graduate from high school, alright?
I'm sure you did. I can tell. A dozen is 12. You also don't have a left.
I know.
It's fine. He doesn't have a left. Vladimir Putin.
Are you Russian? Straight. This is my mail order bride from Romania.
It's so nice.
This is my mail order bride from Russia. Why are you so sweaty?
My name is Sven. I'm actually.
That is not a Romanian name.
It is when I.
That's Cristina.
It's my American.
Cristina. All right, guys, we should all go get drinks.
Okay,
Drinks.
Another one after this.
All right, are you down?
Throw her down. Throw her down.
All right, pressure off.
Actually.
Vadim.
Come on, we have to go.
Vadim.
Oh, Vadim.
Hold on. Do you want to grab a drink right now?
I'm going to hear.
You promise you're not going to do anything weird?
What would I do weird?
Like any salsa dancing or something? Wait, the hands drop like this. They drop?
And then you're supposed to go down and lift up my dress.
That's so
not my
inappropriate.
pants. Oh, it's the worst. I know.
go.
It's the weirdest move ever, but.
Yo, quick announcement, my dude. Just want to briefly mention that over the last year, many guys have been asking me, how do you create chemistry with women? And this has sadly been exaggerated by the pandemic. That's right, I'm talking about that magic you see me create with the girls in my videos. So, I've decided to give away a super entertaining, uncut, infill bonus video showing exactly that. Just click on the link in the description below. By signing up, you're also joining the VIP list for our, wait for it, new course, Honest Chemistry, which will be released in the near future and will teach you everything to do with creating chemistry, from sexual tension to an amazing connection. This course has been more than a year in the making, and I'm really excited to release it. So be sure to click on the link in the description box or comment section below to get access to your bonus video and stay in the loop. All right, now let's get back into it. You can have a general sense of comfort and control and direction when you're navigating social dynamics. You know, once you get better and better, you have some sense of how things might play out, but you ultimately never know how definitively they will play out. So this is a terrible model to follow and goes against this very principle that I'm trying to teach you here. And believe me, I was there when I was really young. You know, this structure and this order, you know, this process that's perfectly laid out for you really appealed to me and to my over-analytical need for control nature, but it actually messed me up more than it did good for me. So stay away, learn from my mistakes. What you must do is you must set yourself free to take things in any given direction, to give yourself the freedom to do whatever you feel at any given moment in the interaction, so that you can just run with something and then adjust in the process, autocorrect in the process as you have more feedback and more information from the interaction, from the environment. You're doing what feels right as opposed to what makes sense. And this is not only going to liberate you, it's going to allow you to act with more conviction. It's going to allow you to tap into a certain kind of flow state where you're a lot less inhibited. This is generally very attractive because it sets a certain kind of seductive, unpredictable, adventurous, just go with the flow tone to the interaction where, in some sense, you are in control. You are in control of this path that you're charting, even though ultimately it's up to the gods where it'll lead. So it's a bit of a paradox. Think of it as you are directing your own movie, but you don't ultimately know how the movie will end. So it's actually a bit of a mind fuck. But this is, for example, one of the reasons that women inherently are more passive, why they don't take as much initiative, because feminine energy is this very kind of like go with the flow type of energy. So, they often believe that things are just going to take their natural course. If a guy is going to talk to me, then that's meant to be, right? That's why they believe in destiny and all that stuff. And in many ways, that is true, that we have no control over what's going to happen. Whereas guys, they try to control and optimize and structure. And in so doing, they really inhibit themselves. Granted, women are also more emotionally intelligent than men. And if you're an attractive woman, you also have higher self-esteem and more social experience. But hey, that's why I'm here, to teach you these principles and these rules of the game, because guess what? I was in your shoes once. I am the classic over-analytical guy who would just dissect everything and would try to play out 50 moves in advance to see how things are going to play out and protect myself in this sense and hedge myself in this sense. And in so doing, I would just completely paralyze myself and destroy my headspace, my confidence, my flow, my conviction, which ironically is what women most care about. So I'm not saying don't put yourself out there. I'm saying control the things that you can at any given moment, but don't worry about how it'll all play out. Give yourself the permission to do what you feel like at any given moment, to say what you feel like at any given moment.
How old are you?
21. Right now I'm a baby.
Wait, who are you here with? This clique? That's a big clique. Are any of these guys your boyfriend?
That's one of my friends.
All right. So you're not in a committed relationship.
What?
So you're not in a committed relationship.
No, not currently.
Just surrounded by a lot of dudes.
What?
No, nothing. So just surrounded by a lot of dudes.
I know. Always like that.
Why is this ice cream truck not open, more importantly?
I don't know. I feel like it's sometimes a bar.
We should go fucking take that van and just drive it right out.
Why not?
Did you do it?
Probably not.
I thought you were a G.
I know.
Guys often get stuck in their heads about what exactly they have to say, what is the appropriate thing, and then they get stuck on some kind of a topic when they don't necessarily want to keep talking about it, right? And they're just stuck because they're afraid to suddenly change direction. They're afraid of where this is gonna lead. Like, God forbid if we go from dogs to me suddenly mentioning the artwork on the wall. Well, I don't know how that's gonna play out. Dogs is safe right now. Like, we're talking about dogs. She's engaged, she's interested. What if I lose her when I start talking about the artwork? And that is horrible fear-based thinking. You're not playing not to lose, you are playing to win. And when you are playing it safe, you are actually harming yourself. So you can have the freedom to switch topics if you please. Or if you're talking and you suddenly feel like dancing because some song comes on and you kind of feel inspired, or you like that song, or you're feeling in a bit of a dancing mood, even if you're not on the dance floor, you can give yourself the permission to do that. There is no right answer as to what you should do at any given moment.
My friend doesn't pull me away because just now I was talking, but I can't stand it.
Let me see your I mean business face.
What?
Let me see your I mean business face.
You mean like my big face? No, I can't do it.
Do it. Why not? Do it.
I do it 24/7 when I can't do it. No, I can't.
Imagine we're in a hostile situation.
Or if you feel like suddenly moving her from one area of the bar to another area you know, for the dance floor to the lounge area, from the lounge area to the patio, then you can do that. You can allow yourself that spontaneity, as long as, again, you are not violating the general principles and guidelines of the game. So if it's too premature to move her from one room to another, if she hasn't invested into the interaction enough, then it's not gonna work. And guess what? You're gonna get that feedback from the interaction. You know, if you end up insulting her as opposed to teasing her, then it's not gonna work. You're gonna get that feedback from the interaction. If you're gonna try to get too physical with her too soon, it's not gonna work, because that goes against the general rules and principles of the game. So you're gonna get that feedback. And so the way you should be operating is just do it and figure it out as you go. That's the whole essence of going with the flow. Putting something out there and then waiting for the feedback from the interaction or from the environment, and auto-correcting and auto-adjusting as you go along, because you cannot predict exactly how things are going to play out. So if you guys are talking about dogs and then suddenly you decide to mention some artwork on the wall of the bar, that's okay. If instead you were reminded of something that happened earlier during the day when you were at the coffee shop and you want to mention that, that's okay too. If in the moment you notice her bracelet and you decide to look at it, well, that's okay too. And bam, so you see suddenly the interaction can take any of these directions, and all of them are correct. Similarly, don't get hung up on this notion of what is the right thing to initiate an interaction with. What exactly do I say? It's the vibe that you bring, the energy that you bring behind what you're saying, the conviction with which you carry yourself, that matters more.
Okay guys, real talk. Are we getting coconut water and starting a revolution?
You're getting coconut water? No.
Yeah, I could. You guys could join me. Look, I found this really cool new gum. It's called Excel Citrus Mint.
Do you have like a
It's
cigarette?
accelerating.
Sorry.
What? A cigarette? No.
Yes.
I just smoke weed.
Sorry.
Remember that women are gauging the overall experience that you are creating when you are with them. Okay, they are not focused on the little micro elements in the interaction. They're generally processing how they feel overall when they are around you. And what's going to help with that is the conviction in which you carry yourself, okay? The freedom with which you express yourself, the permission that you give yourself to just do as you please within reason. That is what's going to attract her ultimately, not some specific thing that you're going to say. You have to understand that doing what feels right at any given moment as opposed to what makes sense is not just something you can do, it's something you must do. It is integral to the dance itself. Otherwise, the dance just breaks down. Imagine if a dancer starts to overanalyze every step of the way, while the entire flow of the dance breaks down. Now, I'm not saying, and this is important, that you need to be completely random just for the sake of being random. I'm not advocating completely erratic behavior out of context. Okay, that would be very forced and would go against this very principle, one of the principles of the game, where you need to act in a way that's genuine and congruent to any given moment in the interaction. So do not force things, but guess what? If you do, you are going to get the appropriate feedback from the environment, which is going to help you auto-correct. Things don't have to make sense at any particular moment. They have to make sense in the grander scheme of things. The bigger picture is what matters and what girls are really interested in. Look, being successful with women is equal parts art, equal parts science. Now, I'm doing my very best in these videos to lay out the scientific principles of what works, but ultimately you are the artist and you have to learn to express yourself, give yourself the freedom and the permission to express yourself how you please, to inject your personality and your creativity into these interactions and direct your own course. All right guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button as well as comment your thoughts, questions, any concerns you have about the topic in the comment section below. I want to hear them. And lastly, don't forget to sign up for our Honest Chemistry VIP list to get your free uncut infield bonus video by clicking the link in the description below or in the comment section. Thanks again, and until next time.